When you talk about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you're talking about perfection, a living basketball monument. Kareem cemented his legacy as one of the greatest players to ever step on the court, but greatness isn't built without battles. It's forged in the crucible of competition. And across his storied career, he encountered players and coaches who not only competed with him, but inspired him and helped shape the icon he became. So, let's take a journey through his personal favorite players, the ones who sharpened his skills and left an unforgettable impact on the greatest big man to ever do it. James Worthy, the silent assassin. Known as Big Game James, Worthy's nickname said it all. He was the man you wanted when the stakes were highest and the pressure was at its peak. Worthy wasn't just a cog in the Showtime machine. He was the engine that roared to life in the postseason. Smooth, athletic, and always under control, Worthy flourished in moments when others faltered. His journey to NBA greatness began long before he shared the court with Magic and Kareem. Drafted as the #1 overall pick in 1982 out of the University of North Carolina, Worthy entered the NBA carrying massive expectations. But those who had seen him play in college knew the Lakers were getting a winner. He shone brightest for UNC in the 1982 NCAA championship game, where he scored 28 points to help clinch the title. He once remarked in an interview that Worthy's ability to perform when it mattered most was something he noticed instantly. James had this ability to rise above the noise, Kareem said. When the crowd was screaming and the pressure was unbearable, that's when he thrived. And that's exactly what the Lakers needed in the heat of their battles throughout the 80s. And when Worthy joined the Showtime Lakers, he fit the system instantly. LA's fast-paced game demanded athleticism and precision, all qualities that Worthy possessed in abundance. On the break, Worthy was devastating. His signature spin move left defenders grasping at air, and his ability to finish at the rim made him unstoppable in transition. Kareem remarked on this, saying, James had this unique sense of timing. He knew exactly when to cut, exactly when to move. You could throw him the ball, and it was 2 points before the defense even realized what happened. Worthy's consistency turned him into one of Magic's favorite targets, but his playoff heroics were where he earned his iconic status. It was a series that tested everything the Lakers had, pushing them to Game 7. With everything on the line, Worthy delivered one of the greatest performances in finals history. He exploded for 36 points, grabbed 16 rebounds, and dished out 10 assists, becoming one of the few players ever to record a triple-double in a Game 7 of the finals. This heroic effort earned him the finals MVP, an honor that cemented his legacy as Big Game James. Kareem later described Worthy's Game 7 performance as one of the finest examples of clutch basketball he'd ever seen. That's who James was, Kareem said. When the lights were brightest, he showed up. He always showed up. And when reflecting on his years with Worthy, Kareem's admiration was evident. The respect went beyond basketball, touching on the traits that made them not just great teammates, but lifelong friends. Worthy's selflessness, killer instinct in big games, and innate understanding of team dynamics made him a player Kareem admired as much as any he had ever played with. Oscar Robertson, the Big O. Oscar revolutionized basketball with his unprecedented ability to do everything on the court: score, rebound, pass, and command the game. Before Kareem became the dominant center we remember today, he was a young rookie on the Milwaukee Bucks, and it was Oscar Robertson who stood beside him, guiding the way. Their connection ran much deeper than just being teammates. In many ways, Oscar was the first true mentor Kareem encountered in the NBA. By the time Kareem entered the league in 1969, Robertson was already a basketball legend, having just a few years earlier achieved what seemed impossible, averaging a triple-double for an entire season in 1961-62, with 30.8 points, 12.5 in rebounds. It was the first time any player had redefined the boundaries of versatility like that. He had joined the Bucks during Kareem's rookie season, already a battle-tested veteran after spending most of his career carrying the Cincinnati Royals. But the pairing of a still dominant Robertson with the young, towering talent of Kareem proved to be a historic partnership. From the start, he credited Oscar as nothing short of pivotal in his development as a professional player, both mentally and physically. Oscar's leadership taught me what it takes to win, Kareem later revealed. He had this mind for the game, a way of seeing everything develop 2-3 steps ahead. I was so lucky to have a guy like that guiding me right when I came in. Robertson's unmatched court vision and mastery of the fundamentals created countless scoring opportunities for Kareem, who would quickly evolve into one of the most unstoppable forces the game has ever seen. Their collaboration reached its peak in 1971, when the duo led the Milwaukee Bucks to the franchise's first and only NBA championship. And despite his immense talent, Robertson was rarely the loudest voice on the team. He didn't need to talk much because the way he played spoke volumes. He described Robertson as having an aura of control that made his teammates trust him implicitly. Oscar understood exactly when to push the pace, when to slow things down, or when to take over himself to keep his team in the game. It wasn't just basketball intelligence. It was a sense of calm and mastery that very few players ever achieve. But this wasn't something that came easy to Oscar. Before Kareem met him, Robertson had already endured years of relentless challenges, including facing systemic racism while playing in high school and college. He struggled for recognition compared to white players of his era. It hardened him, but also shaped the way he approached the game, with precision, focus, and the idea that the best way to silence doubters was to win. And by the time he arrived in Milwaukee, he was hungry for a championship, and pairing him with Kareem was exactly what he needed. While Kareem's height and skill overwhelmed opposing defenses, it was Robertson's basketball IQ that made the Bucks' offense unstoppable, helping Kareem maximize his potential in ways that many superstars don't always get the luxury to experience. He laid the groundwork for what winning basketball looks like, Kareem explained. Without Oscar guiding me in those early years, I might not have become the player I ended up being. Their bond was evident on the court, but also in the respect they held for each other off of it. Magic Johnson, the Showtime maestro. Magic defined an entire era of basketball, a driving force behind the Showtime Lakers, and one of the most transcendent talents the game has ever seen. Entering the league as the first overall pick in the 1979 NBA draft, Magic arrived with boundless energy and a charisma that was impossible to ignore. Standing at 6'9", he was unlike any point guard the world had ever seen before. His height, combined with his skills as a passer and floor general, seemed almost unfair, allowing him to redefine the position and dominate in ways that left defenses helpless. But the pressure was enormous. Stepping into the league out of Michigan State, where he had just led his team to a national championship with a victory over Larry Bird's Indiana State, Magic's arrival in the NBA wasn't just highly anticipated, it came with expectations of greatness. And yet, even with all eyes on him, he delivered, instantly proving that he was born for the bright lights of Los Angeles. From the very beginning, his career was marked by triumphs that felt straight out of a Hollywood script. In his rookie season, the Lakers found themselves in the 1980 NBA Finals, facing the Philadelphia 76ers. By Game 6, Magic's teammate and Lakers captain, Kareem, was out due to injury, leaving a massive void in the lineup. At just 20 years old, he took it upon himself to step into the center position, a role completely foreign to him, and delivered one of the most iconic performances in NBA history. He dropped an astonishing 42 points to go along with 15 rebounds and 7 assists, leading the Lakers to a decisive victory and clinching the championship. Kareem, watching from the sidelines, knew his team had found something special. "I could have missed every game, and Magic still would have figured out how to win," Kareem later joked. That moment wasn't just legendary, it set the tone for what Magic would bring to the NBA over the next decade. Together, Magic and Kareem led the Lakers to 5 NBA championships in the 1980s, with Magic pulling the strings and turning every offensive set into must-see theater. "You'd run the break, and the ball would just appear in your hands," Kareem said. "It was magical, no pun intended." And by the time he led Michigan State to a national championship, it was clear that Magic wasn't just athletically gifted. He had a mental edge, a rare understanding of the game that went well beyond his years. That basketball IQ became his superpower in the NBA. His uncanny ability to read defenses, see plays developing before anyone else, and deliver passes through nearly impossible angles defined his greatness. You couldn't stop Magic, not because of any one athletic advantage, though he had plenty, but because his mind worked faster than yours could. He made the sacrifices, put in the work, and demanded greatness from himself and his teammates. At the same time, Magic's resilience allowed him to endure setbacks and emerge stronger every time. From tough playoff losses to career-threatening injuries, Magic's legacy isn't just his triumphs, but the attitude he maintained during the challenges. That determination to excel, even under the spotlight, solidified his place as one of the greatest leaders in NBA history. John Wooden, the teacher. The man he called his greatest mentor on and off the court, John Wooden. John isn't just regarded as one of college basketball's greatest coaches. He's seen as the ultimate teacher, someone who transformed players into leaders and boys into men. Before Kareem became a six-time NBA champion and the leading scorer in NBA history, he was Lou Alcindor, a towering prospect who dominated the college ranks at UCLA, guided by the steady hand of this legendary coach. Wooden didn't merely shape Kareem's basketball career, he deeply influenced his values, mindset, and vision for life itself. Kareem has often said, "Coach Wooden shaped who I am as a man." He taught us about discipline, teamwork, and how to carry ourselves with integrity. But Wooden's story, like those of most great legends, started long before he became a household name. Before Wooden became the wizard behind 10 NCAA championships at UCLA, he grew up as a young boy in rural Indiana during the Great Depression. Life on the farm taught him discipline and an unshakable work ethic, principles that later became the foundation for everything he taught his players. After becoming a standout guard at Purdue University and winning a national championship as a player, Wooden began his coaching career at the high school level while also serving as an English teacher. He approached both roles with the same philosophy: teach the fundamentals, value self-discipline, and build good character above all else. And when Kareem arrived at UCLA, he was already garnering national attention as perhaps the most dominant high school player the sport had ever seen. But Wooden immediately sought to humble his star player. He didn't just focus on basketball skills. In fact, Wooden barely mentioned his scoring ability during their first meetings. Instead, he emphasized key habits like preparation, mental discipline, and being a good teammate. Wooden famously opened the season by teaching players how to correctly tie their shoelaces. It wasn't a joke. It was his way of preaching attention to detail and controlling the small things that could derail a team. Kareem, who at first didn't understand the full scope of Wooden's philosophy, soon became an eager disciple. Under Wooden's guidance, Kareem led UCLA to 3 straight NCAA championships from 1967 to 1969, a feat never matched by any program before or since. His pyramid of success became a cornerstone of Kareem's outlook on life. It wasn't just a motivational tool, it was a way of life. Wooden's pyramid taught players to achieve greatness, not by comparing themselves to others, but by fulfilling their own potential. The highest block on the pyramid read competitive greatness, which Wooden described as the ability to perform at your peak when the stakes are highest. Kareem reflected on this years later, saying, "Coach didn't just teach basketball, he taught us how to succeed in life." Even after Kareem left UCLA and embarked on his record-breaking NBA career, the lessons Wooden imparted stayed with him. Long after Wooden's retirement, Kareem would frequently visit the coach and speak about how his wisdom continued to resonate. Perhaps no story better illustrates the enduring bond between them than Wooden's reaction when Kareem converted to Islam in the late 1960s. While others in the sports world reacted with skepticism or judgment, Wooden stood firmly by his star player, defending Kareem's right to his personal beliefs. This gesture of acceptance left a lasting impression on Kareem, who called Wooden not just the smartest man I've ever met, but the kindest. And without Wooden, there likely isn't a Kareem as we know him today. It's no exaggeration to say Wooden's influence extended well beyond college basketball and into every facet of Kareem's life. And with that, the legacy of the teacher lives on through Kareem and countless others who had the privilege to learn from him. Bob Lanier, the gentle giant. Lanier entered the NBA in 1970 as the first overall pick after a dominant collegiate career at St. Bonaventure University, where his 6'11" frame and incredible footwork made him a standout. But his road to the league wasn't all smooth. During his senior year, he suffered a devastating knee injury in the NCAA tournament, an injury that many thought might hinder his professional potential. Instead, he defied expectations. He recovered, refined his game, and went on to have an outstanding NBA career. From the very start, he challenged opponents with his size and skill. Despite recurring knee issues throughout his career, Lanier never let injuries define him. He played with a tenacity that demanded respect, becoming one of the most skilled big men of his era, and Kareem was one of the first to recognize that. They faced off multiple times in the 1970s, and their battles were nothing short of wars on the court. At 6'11" and 250 pounds, Lanier was a physical force whose combination of size and agility gave even the best centers problems. Kareem knew he was going to have his work cut out for him every time they went head-to-head. Bob was tough as nails, Kareem said. He didn't back down from anyone. And yet, Lanier wasn't just about brute strength. He had what Kareem described as the softest touch for someone his size, with an elegant mid-range jumper and skilled post moves that could leave defenders spinning. You knew what was coming, but stopping it was another thing entirely, Kareem admitted in an interview. And despite the ferocity of their encounters, there was an underlying respect between the two legends. Lanier's Pistons teams, unfortunately, never achieved the same level of success as Kareem's Bucks or Showtime Lakers. Detroit struggled to surround Lanier with the kind of talent needed to contend for championships, but that didn't stop Lanier from consistently putting up dominant individual performances. Across their matchups, Kareem recognized not only Lanier's technical skill, but also his sportsmanship. Bob was one of the fairest competitors I ever played against, Kareem said. He was a fierce rival on the court, but he was never dirty. He played the game the right way. That respect, Kareem noted, wasn't always common in an NBA era known for its physicality and unpolished battles in the paint. For Kareem, Lanier epitomized the balance between toughness and finesse, never crossing the line, even when emotions ran high. And while their careers overlapped for much of the 1970s, Kareem and Lanier's paths eventually diverged. He transitioned to the Lakers in the Showtime era, winning multiple championships, while Lanier finished his career with the Milwaukee Bucks, serving as a veteran presence and mentor to younger players. And by the time Lanier retired in 1984, he had cemented himself as one of the premier big men of his time, logging 8 All-Star appearances and leaving a lasting impression on everyone he encountered, including Kareem. Both men ultimately transcended the game in their own ways. Kareem with his sky hook and activist legacy, Lanier with his leadership on and off the court. And it's why, to this day, Kareem considers Lanier not only one of the greatest big men to play the game, but also one of the individuals he cherished competing against most. Wilt Chamberlain, the godfather of big men. He had already reigned as the NBA's most dominant center for over a decade, a larger-than-life figure with records so immense they seemed almost mythical. By the time Kareem stepped on the court against Wilt, he had already built a legacy as one of the most unstoppable forces in basketball. He once famously scored 100 points in a single game, averaged 50.4 points over an entire season, and redefined what it meant to dominate the paint. But he wasn't just a basketball machine. He was also fiercely intelligent, deeply strategic, and competitive. Wilt inspired me, Kareem said years later. Before Wilt, big men weren't thought of as athletic or skillful. He changed the game. Their matchups were nothing short of must-watch events. During Kareem's rookie and early professional seasons, Wilt was still an imposing force, even as he entered the twilight of his career. These games carried a symbolic weight. They represented the passing of the torch from one generational center to another. Kareem quickly realized that Wilt presented a challenge far beyond sheer physicality. Wilt was bigger, stronger, and one of the most athletic bigs the game had ever known. Standing at 7'1" with an imposing frame, he towered over even the NBA's largest players. But what really impressed Kareem wasn't just his physical gifts, but it was his basketball mind. He was so smart, Kareem said. He knew the game inside and out. He could think 2, sometimes 3 steps ahead of you. You might beat him once, but he'd beat you the next 5 times because he'd already figured you out. And it was these mental battles that shaped Kareem's own dominance as the years went on. Every time they squared off, Wilt would push the young Kareem to evolve his game. Wilt was relentless in the post, using his massive frame to score at will. On defense, his shot-blocking ability rendered any timid or careless shots useless. Early in his career, Kareem struggled to match the combination of intelligence and physicality that Wilt brought to the table. But instead of breaking under the challenge, Kareem learned from it. He began to harness his own unique skills, his skyhook, his remarkable footwork, and his ability to control a game through calm composure. Though Wilt's Lakers eventually triumphed in those early battles, it wasn't long before Kareem became the NBA's dominant big man. By the end of Wilt's career, Kareem was thriving, leading the league in scoring while carrying the Milwaukee Bucks to a championship in 1971. Despite their rivalry, their relationship off the court remained rooted in mutual respect. Wilt, for all his competitiveness, understood that Kareem represented the future of the position he had revolutionized, and eventually he would eclipse Wilt's all-time scoring record, an achievement that symbolized just how quickly he had risen in the NBA pantheon. But even as the pupil surpassed the master on the stat sheet, Kareem never forgot the lessons Wilt taught him. "Wilt set the standard," Kareem said. "He showed me what it meant to dominate a game, not just physically, but mentally too." There wouldn't be a Kareem without a Wilt Chamberlain. His impact on Kareem's career went far beyond their physical battles on the court. He challenged Kareem to think bigger, play smarter, and carry himself with the same level of pride that Wilt had shown throughout his dominant career. Wilt wasn't just an opponent. He was a measuring stick, a mentor, and a constant reminder that greatness required both physical excellence and mental mastery. These individuals were more than just teammates and mentors. They were instrumental in shaping the legend of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Through them, we see the brilliance of a player who not only dominated the game, but learned from the best in the process. All right, that's all for today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.